Kids, it's Rule 20, the M&M rule. So let's say that we're going to go ahead and eat a couple of M&Ms. Throw them out on the table. Probably look something like this. A couple of them here, and each one of the M&Ms has a little monogram scribed on the inside. It looks like this. All right. Now, we're not just eating one single M&M. We're going to eat a couple. So there's multiple M's because there's multiple M&Ms. Now, when we come over here, the problem is this. We have to know when to use who and whom, but it gets confusing and you can't use your ears in a lot of cases on this. So if you remember the M&M rule, the M's go together. You see that in whom we have an M, and in the word him we have an M. So M&Ms, see it? He, she will go with who, and him, her will go with whom. Secret tip number 1, kids, the M&M rule. Secret tip number 2, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the example and then try and answer the question that's asked. All right, we're going to use he, she, and then just remember the M&M rules attached to that. All right, whom would like to go on vacation? He would like to go on vacation, or she would like to go on vacation. When we do that, you see he, she is going to lead us back to who. Makes sense? Let's take a look at example number 2. All right, example 2, whom made these awesome cookies? He made these awesome cookies, or she made these awesome cookies. You see, once again, we're going to use the word he, she, which goes with the word who. All right, now let's go back to the first example here and just try and put him in there. All right, when we answer the question and we use the wrong one over here, you're going to see it sounds weird. Whom would like to go on vacation? Him would like to go on vacation. Her would like to go on vacation. See how that doesn't work? How about example 2? Whom made these awesome cookies? Him made these awesome cookies. Her made these awesome cookies. You see, it just doesn't work. Let's take a look at example number 3. To whom was the letter addressed to? All right, the letter was addressed to him. If we use him, him has an M in it, so therefore we would go with the M&M rule, saying we're going to use the word whom for example 3. Let's take a look at the next one. Go ahead, do this one on your own. Whom do you believe? Let's answer the question. I believe him. I believe her. Him goes with whom. Whom, for example, number 4. Let's take a look at the next example. I do not know with whom I will go to the prom. Answer the question. Who are you going to the prom with? I will go to the prom with her. I will go to the prom with him. So if it's him, it's going to have to be whom. Let's take a look at the final example, kids. Whom ate my sandwich? He ate my sandwich. She ate my sandwich. So if it's he, she, you know it's going to be who. We're not just eating one single M&M, we're going to eat a couple. So there's multiple M's because there's multiple M&Ms. Now when we come over here, the problem is this. We have to know when to use who and whom, but it gets confusing and you can't use your ears in a lot of cases on this. So if you remember the M&M rule, the M's go together. You see that in whom we have an M, and in the word him we have an M. So M&Ms, see it? He, she will go with who, and him, her will go with whom. Secret tip number 1, kids, the M&M rule. Secret tip number 2, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at the example and then try and answer the question that's asked. All right, we're going to use he, she, and then just remember the M&M rules attached to that. All right, whom would like to go on vacation? He would like to go on vacation, or she would like to go on vacation. When we do that, you see he, she is going to lead us back to who. Make sense? Let's take a look at example number 2. All right, example 2, whom made these awesome cookies? He made these awesome cookies, or she made these awesome cookies. You see, once again, we're going to use the word he, she, which goes with the word who. All right, now let's go back to the first example here and just try and put him in there. All right, when we answer the question and we use the wrong one over here, you're going to see it sounds weird. Whom would like to go on vacation? Him would like to go on vacation. Her would like to go on vacation. See how that doesn't work? How about example 2? Whom made these awesome cookies? Him made these awesome cookies. Her made these awesome cookies. You see, it just doesn't work. Let's take a look at example number 3. To whom was the letter addressed to? All right. The letter was addressed to him. If we use him, him has an M in it, so therefore we would go with the M&M rule, saying we're going to use the word whom for example 3. Let's take a look at the next one. Go ahead, do this one on your own. Whom do you believe? Let's answer the question. I believe him. I believe her. Him goes with whom. Whom for example number 4. Let's take a look at the next example. I do not know with whom I will go to the prom. Answer the question. Who are you going to the prom with? I will go to the prom with her. I will go to the prom with him. So if it's him, it's going to have to be whom. Let's take a look at the final example, kids. Whom ate my sandwich? He ate my sandwich. She ate my sandwich. So if it's he, she, you know it's going to be who. So wait, what if we get really long sentences with multiple clauses? What do we do there? That leads us to secret tip number 3. Long sentences. What do? Focus on the clause that's actually being referred to. Then what we do is simply reword that sentence and answer the question. Let's take a look at this example here. I curiously looked around the big empty room, comma, wondering to whom the red and white notebook belonged. All right, this first clause here up to the comma is not really what they're asking us about. So let's not focus in on it and just simply cross it off. Now let's answer this. They're asking us, they're wondering whom the red and white notebook belonged. The red and white notebook belonged to him. The red and white notebook belonged to her. See it? When we use the M&M rule, you see that this question can be answered by using the word whom. Make sense? Let's take a look at the next example. The new resident surgeon, comma, whom was working back-to-back shifts at the hospital, comma, had to drink coffee to stay awake. Let's get rid of this clause here up to the comma and answer this question. Who is working back-to-back shifts at the hospital? Well, he is, or she is, right? He, she goes with who. Let's take a look at the final example. The final example, it says, the seasoned pilot, comma, whom we are very glad to have on staff, comma, has 25 years of extensive flying experience. We disregard this part, and you could even disregard the last part here. Focus in on what's actually being questioned. Whom we are very glad to have. Let's answer it. We are very glad to have him. We are very glad to have her. When you see we use him or her, we know that we're going to use the word whom. Kids, it's the M&M rule. Remember, M's go together. Him, her goes with whom. Anything else is going to go with he or she. Kids, it's rhetorical skills formula A. Wait, did I say rhetorical skills? What's that? So let's go back to the very beginning here. What you're going to do is you're going to see that on the ACT English test, you're going to see that you have 2 types of questions. The first type of a question is called mechanics and usage, and it's basically really short questions that just present answer choices A, B, C, and D. All right. The other type of a question that you're going to run into is a rhetorical skill question, and the rhetorical skill question is going to have what's called a question stem, and that's a bunch of words up at the top here. Okay. And then their answer choices A, B, C, and D would be down over here, okay? Mechanics versus rhetorical skills. Formula A and Formula B are both going to be rhetorical skills that ask you reading comp types of questions. The first type we're talking about here is Formula A. Formula A comes in a variety of different ways they present the information. However, we're going to basically do the same thing. The first type of a question you're going to run into is something called a suppose question. Suppose the author had intended to write an essay about studying in Caribou Coffee for ACT. Does this essay successfully fill that goal? Okay, so if that's the case and we're trying to figure out if this essay matches that, what we want to do is quickly throw down a Genius map. Go into your paragraph, topic, sentences, circle the noun, underline the verb, then go to the next paragraph and throw a quick Genius map down. All right, you're going to see that when you have a Genius map and you link the Genius map together, you're going to say the answer is either yes or it's no. Does this essay talk about tutoring in Caribou? When you throw a Genius map down here, you're going to see that the nouns and the verb should link back to the question. So the answer over here is either going to be yes or it's going to be no. If this one is talking about spray painting a bicycle and they ask you about tutoring in Caribou, you can instantly cross out does it answer yes, so cross those out, so it's going to be no. Then what you do is you look a little closer at the two answer choices. That's how you answer a suppose question. Now, when they ask you a suppose question, the first sentence is always going to be the same, so you can actually cross it out. Suppose the author had intended to write an essay about. And then the last sentence we can cross out as well. Does this essay successfully fulfill that goal? When you do that, you're going to see that you get to the gist of the question, and I call this the good stuff. Okay? The good stuff is a sentence that contains a noun and a verb. So focus on the noun and the verb here in the good stuff and then match it up with your Genius map. That's how you answer suppose questions. Now, the other way they could present this information is the author is considering rewriting the sentence to summarize the essay. All right? So maybe they put a question down over here. All right, so the summary is basically gonna be linked into your Genius map. That means there's a noun and a verb here that's gonna have to link you back into the rest of the essay. So go back, look at the title, and then look at all your topic sentences, link them together, and then look at your answer choices and circle the noun and the verb here, and then see which one of those links back in to here, which would link back into your essay. It's basically doing the same thing, Genius mapping. And the final type of a question that you're going to see over here is something called a deleting. All right, the author is considering deleting paragraph number 2. All right, so let's get rid of this. How do you know if you can delete this paragraph or not? Simply throw down a Genius map with the nouns and the verbs and check. Is it on topic or is it off? If it's off topic, go ahead and delete it. If it's on topic, you cannot delete it. Does that make sense? Finally, the last thing they're probably going to ask you here is to rearrange these paragraphs. Look at all your topic sentences and think about the logical order of each paragraph. Don't try and read all of it. Just simply look at your topic sentences and see which one would make the most sense when you put each one of them in front of the other one. Kids, it's Formula A, rhetorical skills. Moving right along, it's Formula B, rhetorical skills, kids. What the heck is that? All right, so rhetorical skills is basically going to deal with one particular paragraph, okay? So when we're dealing with one paragraph, let's just pick the first paragraph here, all right? So the author is going to add or delete a sentence. All right, let's take a look at the sentence. The author is considering adding or deleting the following sentence. Let's say that we're going to add this sentence here. All right, here it is. Man, that is a crazy color. All right. First thing that we have to do is we have to ask ourselves, where does the author want to do that? All right. So if you look over here, the author wants to add it right here. All right. So obviously we know that since we're dealing with one paragraph, a review from Genius Mapping says that this is the detailed area, and this area has to support our topic sentence. So when we're going to add this sentence, when you ask yourself, where are you? Look and see, it's a detail. Does this sentence, man, that's a crazy color, does that support your topic sentence, the cat ran? The answer would be no. So look at your choices. Yes, yes, no, no. It's no. So cross out the two yeses. All right. Now, on the other hand, if we were going to go ahead and delete a sentence, the author would say something like this. The author is considering deleting the underlined sentence. So then you look and see the underlined sentence is here. And then you ask yourself, does this sentence support the topic sentence? If it doesn't, then you can go ahead and delete it. All right. Most important thing to take away from type A is when you look and see a question that says add or delete, you have to ask yourself, where are you? All right. If you're in the details, you've got to look at the topic sentence. If you're in the topic sentence, you have to look at the details and see what the paragraph is doing and then find the best topic sentence at the top. Make sense? To type B, kids, it's called adding into the gap. All right, so let's do a quick review. Whenever we're going to add in general or delete, you're going to always ask yourself that main question. You're going to ask yourself, where? Where are we? All right, so in our paragraph, there's only two places really. The place is either the topic sentence or it's going to be the details. All right, in our first example, we saw that we were going to add this sentence here. Okay, let's say that there are 3 details in paragraph 1. Detail 1 or 2 definitely is going to have to lead you back to the topic sentence here. All right, now if we're going to add into the gap, the difference between regular adding and adding into the gap is a gap filler is going to be the last sentence down over here of the paragraph. So if we've got 3 details here, the gap filler would be this last sentence at the bottom. All right. So in this particular example here, if we were adding into the gap, this sentence here is going to have to for sure lead you back to support the topic sentence here, but also it's going to have to support and transition into the next paragraph. All right. If we're adding into the gap here, this sentence here will support this topic sentence, but also will have to transition into the gap down over here. All right, does that make sense? All right, gap fillers have to transition and link two paragraphs back together. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at our actual example. In this question, it says the author is considering adding the following sentence here. And let's go ahead and add it right here in paragraph 2. This is our sentence that the author is considering adding. Okay, so for sure here it says, I have never seen a creature jump that high before. All right, so when we look back over here, does this support the topic sentence? It got scared. Okay, so it is a creature. That synonym is on target, so that does support it. Okay, and when you're scared, do you jump? Yeah. So far, so good. Let's put a check by it. Okay, now what we have to do is we have to make sure that this sentence here, I've never seen a creature jump that high before, does that transition and somehow link these two paragraphs together? Let's read the next topic sentence. Whoa! How can I get her from the tree? Okay, so her, does that link you to it? Yeah, because it's a cat, all right? And creature is she or her, a creature, which is it, which is the cat. Yeah, that makes sense. Links it all together, okay? So if we have scared, if we have jump, and if we have in a tree, does that make sense when you think about linking it all together? The answer on that is going to be yes. All right, make sure that when you go ahead and fill the gap, what we want to do is make sure that it's the bottom sentence and it's going to link you back to support the topic sentence that the paragraph is in, but also go ahead and look at the paragraph below. So basically, how do I do this? And how do I kind of understand the whole process here? This is what I do. I first come over here and I say to myself, all right, where am I? I realize that I'm at the bottom, and when I'm at the bottom, I'm a gap filler. So what do? I look at the two sentences for both paragraphs, and I simply genius map them together. All right, so I've got her, which is it, and scared, which is getting her down. All right, so I get it. So it got scared and jumped into the tree. I got it. All right, then I come back over here and I go ahead and circle my nouns and verbs again. I've got creature and jump. Okay, so is it a creature? Yep. And is it her? Yes, so that links in there, okay? And does scared link with jump? And does scared and jump link with a tree? You see how I'm just thinking about it in a different way? Really, kind of what you're doing, kids, here is this. You're going to go ahead and take this new sentence and think of it as a paragraph topic sentence. And then you're going to just slide it in right between those paragraphs. So actually, you would have now 4 paragraphs. All right, kids, type 3 is called a rearranger. Basically, we could rearrange sentences or we could rearrange paragraphs. All right, if we're going to rearrange sentences, they're going to give you the sentences and they're going to be labeled with numbers. And then they're going to say in the answer choices which one makes the most logical sense. Sentence 1 before 3, 3 before 1, whatever. Or they're going to list them off. Okay, it will say something like, 1, 3, 2, and 4. Okay, and it'll give you some options. All right, what I do is I just look at the choices. Usually 2 of them will be the same. So if it says like 1, 4, 2, I just look at the first numbers here, and then you look at the last 2. The first numbers are going to be 2 and 1. So what I would do is I'd basically ask myself, hey, so the way the paragraph is written right now, sentence 1 should be like the topic sentence, which is going to be the big picture. And then is sentence 1 the big picture or is sentence 2 the big picture? Then you have to kind of look and see, rearrange them. Best technique for the rearranger ones, if it's dealing with one paragraph, I usually just read the whole paragraph really fast and then take my pen and then just put a dot by something that seems kind of weird. All right, I feel like I got lost right there. I feel like that's out of order. I feel like something's weird. And then look at your answer choices and see if you can kind of arrange that. Keeping in mind that when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you understand that we have a funnel and we're going to bring our topic sentence, usually should be like the big picture, personal opinion kind of a thing at the top, and then we're going to get progressively more and more narrow as we go down our paragraph. The other thing that you could look at and kind of keep in mind is like a continuum timeline. So of course they're going to have to kind of talk about, old stuff, present stuff, and then future stuff. So kind of keep a lookout. But I think the way to start with these right away is just to read the whole paragraph and put a dot by those. All right, so how do we go ahead and answer a rearranger formula B question if it's dealing with all the paragraphs? All right, the author wants to rearrange the paragraphs in the essay to make it more concise. Okay, so what you do, just look at all your topic sentences and then kind of think of the same thing, which kind of came first, which one's more general. All right, if it's rearranging paragraphs, definitely just look at the topic sentences first. Make sense? That's a rearranger question type. Okay, kids, finally we're on to the last one. It's letter D. It's something called anti-razor blade. All right, the author is considering rewriting the sentence to make it more visual, to make it more descriptive, to point out that the author wants to emphasize this, that, or the other thing. There's going to be some type of a trigger word that tells you the author wants to rewrite the sentence or make it do something a little bit different. Okay, since we're in Formula B, which is rhetorical skills, we want to use the anti-razor blade. All right, that means build up what the question asks us to do. All right, the author is considering rewriting the sentence to make the action of the cat jumping more descriptive. All right, here it just says, the cat got in the tree, but it never really says how it got in the tree. So we would have to take cat and jump into the tree, make it a little bit more descriptive. So think anti-razor blade. We're going to just take the word cat and tree and, put a bunch of words in there so you kind of understand how it got in there. All right. Now, why do I put over here anti-razor blade versus razor blade? All right. So anti-razor blade is dealing with rhetorical skills. Those are long questions. And razor blade is dealing with mechanics. Mechanics are just questions that deal with the answer choices. So razor blade means those questions we want short answers. How do we get the shortest answer? We cut out all the extra stuff. Anti-razor blade is dealing with rhetorical skills, and what we want to do is we want to take and build that noun and verb up with extra stuff. Add in extra stuff, take extra stuff out. Anti-razor blade versus razor blade. Kids, that's it for our Formula B workout. And finally, it's the last rule in the Blaze video review number 3. It's a verb tense, kids. First thing that you want to do to identify that it's actually a verb test question is to take a look at the answer choices. In the answer choices here, you see we have the word are, the word is, and the word can. All right, that would designate that this is a verb tense question. So, real quick, we have past, we have present, and we have future. All right, so anything that's past is going to have an ed in the end. All right, it will also have the word like was, and it will also have a word like were. All right, ed, was, and were. All right, so that's a quick review for the past. Present is pretty straightforward. If you see that we have the word is and the word are, those are both present tense. All right. So finally, future, we're going to have the ouds. O-U-D. All right, that could be could, would, should. All right, also keep in mind that if you see the word to, that's going to be future as well. Let's quickly take a look a little bit further in depth. You put an ed on the end of something, that's going to make it past. Knock and knocked. Knock is present. Okay, you put an ed on the end, knocked. All right. Was, I was studying at 6 o'clock. We were studying at 6 o'clock. This is going to be plural, past tense, and this will be singular. Was is singular, were plural. That's the same thing over here in the present tense. He is sitting. We are sitting. Singular for is, and are is going to be plural. All right, so that's a quick review of all that stuff. Take a note. That's something you might want to put on the bottom where it says take a note. All right, now going back to the question. Over here we see that we have the word are, which is going to be plural present. Is going to be singular present. Can is going to be future, and is going to be present. All right, does that make sense? Now, this is the underlined portion here. What we want to do is we want to match it up with the rest of the sentence. And this can be kind of confusing, kids, so we're going to incorporate some other rules. That's why I saved the tense rule for the very end. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at it. Now, when we look at the sentence here, it says one advantage of using a rock tumbler instead of polishing the stones, blank, 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 the tumbler can, okay, so it's a bit confusing. Now, let's convert over right away. We know this word, we've seen it before, and we know this word, see it before, remember? Dun, dun, dun. Of course, yep, mummy wedges, kids. Mummy wedges start, these words start extra non-essential information, all right? So, of using a rock tumbler, okay? That is extra non-essential information, and that gives you more information about what we're talking about, the advantage. And then it says of hand polishing the stones. So that can be crossed out. And this would go along with this as well here. Just attach it there. All right. So when we cross out the double mummy wedges here, you see that the main noun is the advantage, and there's one advantage, so that's going to be singular. All right, so we know that it's going to have to be something that's singular. B is the correct answer on that one. All right, one advantage. It didn't say advantaged with an ed on the end. If it did, it wouldn't be is, because is present tense. Notice how I just assumed it was present tense if I didn't see any other words like was, were, or any eds in there. Just assume that it's going to be present tense. So that's a quick review of how we do that. Let's take a look at something a teeny bit more difficult. All right, now that we understand the tense rule and we've seen some of the things that suggest the tense of the sentence, we're going to go ahead and look at some compound sentences, okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is a sentence that starts in the past and converts over to the present tense. We're going to use this word here, has, When it says has, that's going to kind of refer to present stuff, all right? She has a sweater on, all right? So it's present tense, all right? Let's go ahead and take a look at our example. Since yesterday, that's past tense. There's a comma here, so that's a different clause. Clause 2 says, I notice, so that's going to be present. I noticed that the little puppy has, would go with present, chewed. Even though this right here is past tense, you see how we're going to use the word has, because I notice is present tense. Look at it real close, kids. All right, let's read it again. Since yesterday, past tense, I noticed that the little puppy has chewed on all my shoes in the closet. All right, so you might want to take a note on that. It's past in one clause, and then it goes into present in the other clause. All right, now, if we have past tense in one clause and past tense in the same clause, we're going to use the word had, because the word had is going to be past. She had a sweater on yesterday. All right, had is past, and has is present. So let's go ahead and take a look at this sentence. All right, so this sentence here, you see we got a comma after night. Since last night, that's past tense. The little puppy had scratched the floor for 8 hours in a row without stopping. 8 hours in a row and scratched. You see how 8 hours would refer to when the puppy started, and you can assume that it's already done because it's scratched and had is past. So this is going to be past. This is going to be past. And you simply just match this up. Last night is past. You see how we've got three things going on here? Now going back up here, you see yesterday is past and chewed is past, but here is present. So remember, simply write it down. Past going to present, you're going to use the word has, and past to past is going to use the word had. Kids, it's the tense rule. Thanks for watching Blaze video number 3 and getting through all these rules. Good luck.